called my mom and I already warned my mom. I say, Mom, this COVID-19 is very serious.
A hard-working mom who came to the U.S. to provide for her family.
My mom, she worked so hard at GBS.
A dedicated employee who devoted more than 10 years inside that meatpacking plant dies after contracting the virus.
It is really hard for our family.
Why this family says not enough was done inside that facility to prevent her death, and tonight they need your help.
A local health department threatening an entire county. If these trends continue, they're ready to bring back tougher restrictions. And back on the gridiron, high school football is back, but things look and feel a little different.
There's no noise at all.
As we approach 2,000 coronavirus deaths in Colorado, tonight we're putting a face to those numbers.
You may remember our investigation uncovering the serious outbreak inside the JBS meatpacking plant in Greeley. Nearly 300 cases and 6 deaths. The daughter of an employee who died says the plant should have done more to protect her mom.
And the more we talk to this family, the more we realize they needed help to give a loving mother a final resting place. And that's where Denver7 Gives comes in.
Liz Gilardi brings us this heartbreaking story of a mom who worked tirelessly to give her family a better life.
My mom, she always has a pure heart. She always hope and she always giving.
A loving mom who wanted the very best for her kids.
My mom and dad, they work so hard for me and my brother so we can finish school and to have a better life.
San Twin and her brother were born in a refugee camp in Thailand. San grew up inside that camp until her parents got an opportunity to come to the U.S. That's when her mom, Tin A, started working at the JBS meat plant in Greeley.
She almost never missed her work, and then she worked over at JBS for 12 to 13 years.
San told her mom to retire soon, but money was tight and she was a hard worker.
I always call my mom around 11 a.m. before she go to work. And my mom, she told me they already found someone who have COVID-19 in the plant.
As COVID-19 swept across the U.S.,
it's now one of Weld County's most significant hotspots for COVID-19.
A Denver7 investigation exposed safety concerns inside the plant where Tin worked. Her co-workers started getting sick, and San told her mom to be careful.
I told my mom, this is really serious.
Despite those concerns, her mom continued working. She was excited to be a grandma for the first time. San was about to have a baby boy. On May 28th, San went to the hospital to deliver the baby, and she got some shocking news.
I say, Mom, I already got a COVID-19 positive over here, and then you need to go checked up. At that time, my mom, she's really sick already. She couldn't breathe.
Her mom tested positive too. San says her case was so severe, she was admitted to the hospital right away.
I think doctor already explained it to her that she's not gonna make it.
Instead of meeting her new grandson, her mom was in the intensive care unit, fighting for her life.
With the COVID-19, she stayed in the ICU for 52 days. After that, the doctors say that we have to let your mom go. We can't keep her in the hospital anymore.
She passed away 2 days later.
I'm so surprised that the company, my mom, she worked so hard at JBS, the company don't even call and ask how's my mom doing. How's we are doing.
As this family mourned, they scraped together their savings to pay for a funeral. San's parents are originally from Myanmar in Southeast Asia, and her mom fought for human rights until she was forced to flee the country for her safety. She says it's important to their culture to have a place to pay their respects to the dead, but they can't afford a headstone.
Because my family, we love my mom so much, and then we want to have a memory place for her.
When we heard this, we wanted to help and set up a Denver7 Gives account for this family facing an enormous loss.
It's really hard for us, and imagine when you lose someone that you love, it is really hard.
Hoping to give her mom a final resting place, a place where San can take her son, so she can tell him about the grandma he never had a chance to meet.
I want him to know that, oh, his grandma is resting over here in this place. I want him to respect his grandma as we respect his grandma. I want him to love his grandma as we love his grandma.
Liz Gilardi, Denver7.
We've created a very easy way for you to help. It can be a tax-deductible donation. Go to thedenverchannel.com, click Denver7 Gives, and then under the drop-down menu, select Help Remember Fallen JBS Worker.
Teller County filed a complaint late today against Andrew Wommack Ministries for refusing to follow public health orders. The religious organization went ahead hosting a Bible conference in Woodland Park, and it drew upwards of 500 people on Wednesday, a violation of the state public health orders, which caps events at 175 people. Despite a judge and the state saying it can't move forward. And Andrew Wommack believed that they were all allowed to exercise their constitutional right. Now, we also learned today Andrew Wommack Ministries has dropped its lawsuit it originally filed against the governor, at least for now.
All right, the season that almost didn't happen is now tonight underway. High school football is back.
That's right. A dozen teams across the state hit the field for the first time since last year.
And there'll be 2 football seasons this year. For those that didn't choose to play in the fall, well, they'll have a season in the spring.
Denver7's Eddie Guajardo is joining us. And Eddie, you were at the Pomona-Chaparral game.
Ann and Shannon, yes, the Pomona swept Chaparral 35-0. It lit up an excitement many feared they weren't going to get to experience this year. And this year marks the 20-year anniversary of the North Area Athletic Complex. That's this field right here. And I think it's fair to say it's not exactly how they expected to celebrate. 600 fan tickets were up for grabs, but the crowds out here were much smaller. Many people I spoke with say it's not exactly what they expected, but it's what they needed. Fans and players stood and paid respects for their freedom and football.
We are super excited. We are just happy to be playing football and get the kids back out there doing what they love.
Pomona versus Chaparral. A touchdown with an all too familiar sound.
This is our lives, a lot of us. If we didn't have a season, we wouldn't know what to do.
Players snap the ball and parents snap pictures.
She's very excited.
Yet the fans in the stands looked sparse and the cheers felt quieter.
There's no noise at all.
It's kind of sad. You know, we're used to the stands being filled, and to just see they're so empty, it sucks.
This year, football feels different, even across town.
A little bit less rowdy.
Where Rock Canyon took on Columbine. Different game, same COVID rules. Fan tickets are limited.
Prior to coming in, they do check your temperature.
Everyone's required to wear masks, even players, unless they're playing on the field.
This is new for all of us. It's new for our spectators. It's new for our game workers. So we're just all trying to get through it.
Obviously, we're happy that the boys are able to play and the girls are able to dance, but it's not quite the same feel as what we're used to.
Game 1 is in the books, and while it's not quite the same for pom dancers, cheerleaders, and players on the field, it's vital.
This is one of their favorite seasons of the whole year.
These guys are my brothers.
A familiar game in a time when nothing feels quite normal, except the cheer of a win. Now, each team will play 6 regular season games. They need 4 games to qualify for postseason. And that's because it's going to allow them to cancel a game in case there's any COVID-19 concerns and still allows them to qualify. Now, there is a game by Pine Creek High School that's expected to play here tomorrow, but that we're hearing has now been canceled earlier today. We're hearing from our partners in Colorado Springs that teammates from that football team have been placed in quarantine. Reporting live in Arvada, Eddie Guajardo, Denver7.
All right, Addie, thank you very much. Colorado State has completed its investigation into allegations of racism and verbal abuse within the school's athletic program. After interviewing dozens of current and former athletes, coaches, and staffers, the report found there were incidents of racial insensitivity or harassment from coaching staff, but they found it was not widespread. Most of the concerns came from the football program, women's basketball, and track and field, and most of the accusations involved now former coaches. Athletes expressed concern that behavior in the past went unaddressed by the athletic department. Now, in the football program, though, specifically, witnesses overwhelmingly reported having no concerns about a racial climate.
And CSU is setting the record straight about COVID. They say the numbers provided by the state health department as to how many cases they have is misleading. Despite the state showing an outbreak of 375 cases, the school says they have only reported 15 new cases in the last few days. And they say the way the state records, I should say the way the state records its numbers made it look like it was a sudden outbreak. Another day where our case count is going in the wrong direction. We added a whopping 863 cases today, and that's the third highest single-day increase since this pandemic began. April and July were the only other times we saw numbers this high.
Tri-County Health is warning Adams County residents that a spike in cases in the county could lead to tougher restrictions. That county has the second highest number of cases in the state, more than 10,000. More than 230 people have died. Now, we're told if this continues, this trend, they could resort back to level 3 restrictions. So that would mean reducing capacity again at restaurants, at houses of worship, community gatherings, potentially forcing fitness centers and gyms to close, again, offering only remote options. The county will submit a mitigation plan to the state next week.
And tonight we're getting a better idea of just how many Coloradans were overpaid in unemployment benefits. We first told you about this problem earlier this week when Coloradans reported they owed the state hundreds, even thousands of dollars. The state Labor Department says it overpaid around 9,000 people, and it blames the rush to launch a new program allowing gig workers to file for unemployment. And it says amid the confusion, some people received benefits for which they did not qualify. One woman we spoke to says she's now being asked to pay back thousands of dollars.
I'm just starting to get work again, and I'm trying to get back on my feet and do everything I can to get off unemployment. And now they're telling me, hey, you actually owe $6 grand.
The Labor Department says its application process was confusing, and it is working on a fix. So if you think you are being billed unfairly, you have 180 days to appeal.
The coronavirus is pushing back the Broncos-Patriots game. Instead of Sunday, Broncos-Pats now play Monday afternoon. 3 Patriots players have tested positive, including quarterback Cam Newton and cornerback Stephon Gilmore. Thankfully, right now, no Broncos players have tested positive. Kickoff 3:05 Mountain Time Monday. And sports director Lionel Bienvenu will have a lot more on this coming up in sports.
She was my best friend.
A family heartbroken, now speaking out after a couple is killed in a plane crash just days after their wedding.
They met overseas. He was the pilot for that flight and she was flight attendant.
Tonight, this family is sharing more about the daughter, the sister, the friend they lost.
Everyone that came across her just liked her.
There is some cooler weather on the way and maybe some rain and snow.